Your siblings.
Most of us are trying to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today is Alexander's birthday. She told you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
No.
Rhonda's giving away a pair of women's shoes.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Rhonda is giving away a pair of women's shoes. They're very nice. 38.
38 is more like a size 8. I think I'm more like a 39. I'll take a
3, 4, 5.
afterwards. That's okay. Not like I need another pair of
Boker Tov, everybody on Zoom. Yes. Okay. Got Ben Svi, what?
Giving some wonderful I haven't talked to you yet.
Nice. Okay, Boker Tov, everybody. We're going to get started. Boker Tov. Today, learning is always Lilu Nishmat Avigdor Chai Avraham Ben Meir Tzvi Rachalea. In addition to which, today is also would have been Avram's 16th English birthday. So remember Avram today as always. In your, depending what printing you have, but in the small ones, we're on page 10, and it's in the middle of the paragraph that begins with the words V'hinei samo hakadosh baruch hu le'adam. And we're looking for the words. Oh, you know what? Sorry, the next paragraph. The next page. Next paragraph is im ta'amik. In the middle of the paragraph, it says im ta'amik od ba'inyan. We talked about how the items that are in this world are here to serve us, and that we are to use them to serve Hashem. And then about halfway down the paragraph, it says hu ki inyan ma she'amru chachamenu zichronam livracha. So it's about 8 or 10 lines down, maybe in the middle of the paragraph. Right then, again, it says hu ki inyan ma she'amru chachamenu. Okay, tough. So again, where we left off last week was this idea that we're here in a temporary world to, so to speak, earn the next world, which is the final destination. But at the same time, that's not our goal to sit there and every day. That's what we're trying to do. Okay, I just want to earn Olam Haba, and that's what I'm going to do. But it's also telling us that we have the emtsaim, or the means with which to achieve the next world, which are the mitzvot, which will be the basis of the book of how to do them and how to act vis-a-vis our fellow man, especially relative to Hashem. And also the fact that the things that are here, the physical things in this world, are here also to serve us, to be of use to us. So let's take a look at the words. There's something that is known as the Or HaGanuz. Literally means the hidden light. Maybe you never realized this, but in the very beginning, when Hashem created the world, it says, Yehi or vahi or, right? Let there be light, and there was light. And it was day, and it was night. One day, it was day and night, 2 days, day and night, 3 days. And along comes day number 4, and God creates the moon and the sun. Wait a minute. There's no moon and sun. There's no sun for the first 3 days. So what's the light? What's the day and night? What's Boker and Erev? So there's the concept that is known as the Or HaGanuz, that when God created the world, he created it that the light was something in English, it's called the supernal, S-U-P-E-R, the supernal light. That was this magnificent, again, I'm just going to use the words I've learned, that this magnificent, powerful light that had the source was Hashem himself. And when it came time for the sun to be created, it was what's called like a tzimtzum, or a contraction of this extremely powerful light. And it was saved for tzaddikim latid level. It would be used in the next world for tzaddikim, when it says to bask in the glory of the Shekhinah, or the divine presence, that would be part of that package deal, hakol kalul, everything included, right? So it says that when Hashem did this, it says he put this or away for the tzaddikim. It says, V'zu l'shonam, he quotes Chagiga, kevan shera kadosh baruch hu or shiganazol l'tzaddikim. When God saw this light that he hid away for the tzaddikim, samach, he was happy. Now, just as an aside, I'm sure you all know this, but it's important to say, anytime, whether it's in this book or any other book you read, it says God was angry, God was happy, God was sad, God felt this, that. It's all divrak Torah kelashon bnei adam. That the Torah uses the phraseology of humans so we can understand it. Because God doesn't get sad, God doesn't get upset, God doesn't get tired. There's nothing like that for Hashem, but it uses terminology that we can relate to. Interestingly enough, we do this in our own lives in a different aspect. How do you measure this, the power of a car? What do you call it? Horsepower. It's the power of how many horses is equal to that engine. How do you measure light from light bulbs? There's another way. No. Footlight. Footlights. Light feet. Wait, hold on. Candlefoot. How much candle power would be the equivalent of that bulb? Now you don't necessarily see that now, but years ago you would see candlefoot. That's a measure of light. We use an old term from a technology we already know to describe a new technology that we don't know yet. So that's why cars are rated with horsepower, because that was the original major means of transportation. Lahavdil, when we talk about God, in this case, Sameach, doesn't mean he was happy. It means that's how we can understand it. Shenemar or tzadikim yismach. Uvinyan avnei hamakom shelakach Yaakov Avinu v'sam merashotav. We know at the beginning of Parshat Vayetzei, Yaakov Avinu goes to sleep, not too far from here in Bet El. He lies down and he takes me avnei hamakom. He takes different rocks from around the area, 12 altogether, and it says Vayasem merashot. V'sam merashot. He put them behind his head. And it says, it refers to the rock. We know that the Midrash tells us that all the rocks were fighting, right? It says, that all 12 rocks that Yaakov Avinu put to make as a pillow under his head were gathered together. And each one said, I want this tzaddik to put his head on me. So therefore they all melded into one stone, and Shalom Yisrael, literally. What is the purpose of this point here? Is showing us that something as simple as domain, an inanimate object, a stone, a rock, how it was there to also serve Yaakov Avinu to make his sleep a good sleep, in order that he should have this dream about the sulam, the ladder, etc. In this particular concept, the Chachamim have enlightened us, let's say, it's not the right translation, in Kohelet, Shamru Zelashonam, Re'et Maaseh Elokim. Pay attention to the acts or the works of God. B'sha'ah shebara Kadosh Baruch Hu et Adam HaRishon. The moment Hashem created Adam, Netalo be'echaziro al kol ilanei Gan Eden ve'amar lo. He took him around, he took him by the hand and said, look at my trees, right? What did he say? Ve'ei ma'asai. Look at my handiwork. Kama na'im u'meshubachin hem. Look how beautiful it is, what I did. This is the key here. He says that everything I created for you. Pay attention. Pay attention to not destroy my world. Midrash and Kohelet says that Hashem said to Adam HaRishon, who then says to all of us, by extension, that what Hashem put in this world is for us to make use of, not just stam, but also to make use of in order to be able to serve Hashem better. He's going to go into a little bit more detail in a soon. Lalo shel davar, thank you very much. The general rule האדם לא נברא בעבור מצבו בעולם הזה, אלא בעבור מצבו בעולם הבא. Hashem did not create us for our station, our situation, our position here to be in this world, rather in the next world. Ela, but what? Shematzavo ba'olam hazeh hu emtza'i lematzavo ba'olam haba. Our existence in this world is merely a means to the next world. Shehu tachlito, that's the goal. Now, it sounds somewhat fatalistic, right? What are they say there are two things that you're guaranteed to do in life, in theory: pay taxes and die. Right. So I had a friend, thank you. I had a friend who, he really meant it. He's a very morose type of individual. I would see him in the mornings and he'd say, just another day closer to death. Like, really, that's your approach to life? Another same guy would say that as soon as he got out of bed, he felt his free choice was already gone. It's already determined what he's going to have. It's like, I said, how do you go through life like this? And then I had a lot of weird friends, quote, friends. Another one I said to him one time, he was always, he was down. Everything was always down about. Not a just depressed person, but everything was negative. I said to him, I'll make up a name, Michael. Michael, you don't see the glass half full. You don't see the glass half empty. You just don't even see the glass. And it's really sad. So almost like here, it's like, look, we do what we got to do, but in goes, we're going to be in Olam Haba. It doesn't sound very uplifting. So you're going to have to kind of go with the flow for a little bit here until we get more into the book and to understand what he's really talking about. I'll give a little bit more insight in the introduction in this chapter, but not as much yet until we will later. Okay, therefore, there are many, many examples given in a similar theme or similar style. That compare this world to the place or time of preparation. And that the next world is really the resting place and the place to be able to eat that which is already prepared. No, wait a minute, there's no eating. Hang in there one second. He's already mentioned this before, or at least I have, that this world is considered like the great hallway, or the hall leading into Kamosh, to the main, the grand hall. We're told that Hayom, Hashem gave us the Torah Hayom today, which means we do the mitzvot today, and then tomorrow, the next day, I eat Olam Haba to get the reward. Let me finish the paragraph and I'll explain some of these things. And furthermore, another statement which is pretty commonly said, Misha tarach be'erev Shabbat, yochal b'Shabbat. If you take the time and put the effort in before Shabbat, you'll have what to eat on Shabbat. This world is like the dry land, and the next world is like the sea. And many, many examples like this you'll find. So he gave us like 3 or 4 examples that have a similar style. And all these examples, we're seeing something that is temporary, fleeting, or one stage that leads to the next stage. I gave the example of if one wanted to drive from here to Eilat, you stop at the gas station, that's not your goal, but filling up on the gas in the car is a means by which you'll achieve your goal. But the idea being that this world is something that is a preparation. He's going to get even more into depth in that soon. I heard the name of the Chavetz Chaim, but who knows? I don't know. They tell the story that there are 2 people sitting in shul next to each other, and the rabbi's talking, and he says, and the Alter from Slobodka did this, and the Chavetz Chaim did this. And so one turns to the other, said, do you really believe all the stories they tell about these people? He said, look, I don't know if I believe them or not, but I'll tell you one thing. They're not saying those stories about you and me, right? So the idea is that we understand that sometimes we may say a story in the name of somebody, such as in this case, the Chavetz Chaim. It may not have been him, but it's his style of being the tzaddik he was. So evidently he tells the story of a man who went to spend 3 days in another city. He was going to be a guest at somebody's house. And he comes with a suitcase and I guess a wagon, it would have been a truck, a wagon full of his furniture from his house. And he knocks on the door of his host, and they open the door and he sees the suitcase, and he looks, he sees a wagon full of furniture. He said, what are you bringing your furniture with? he said, well, I'm coming to stay with you. He says, but you're here you're here for 3 days. You're here like for a short period of time. He says, that's the idea. He says, we understand that this world, when we go after 120 years to the next world, that what we do here in this world is temporary, is fleeting, is passing. We're only, like he said, this, why would you bring all your furniture? Why would you take all this stuff and use all these things that are materialistic, so to speak, that have nothing to do with your tachlit, with the goal, and fritter away other things that you really should be doing? Now, he's going to make a case. Oh no, yeah, okay. He's going to make a case right now in a logic reason of why this world cannot be the end game. It's impossible for anyone who has a brain in their head to think or believe that the purpose of God creating human beings was this world. Why? He says, bottom line, really, let's think about it. What is really the life of a human? ימי שנותינו בהם 70 שנה, being בגבורות 80 שנה, ורובם עמל ואבן. There's a quote obviously from Tehillim, which we say on Shabbat, at least, that the average person is 70 years, 80 years, although Baruch Hashem nowadays it's more. B'chama minei tzar, where they feel it's a life full of pain, b'chalaim and illness, machovim tradot, all kinds of aches and all kinds of problems. And then the person dies. He's painting a very bleak picture. He says, do you really think that this is what God put us in this world for? That this is the real goal? Because to have all these pains and suffering that people might go through in their lives, and that's why Hashem put us in this earth. Maybe not even 1 in 1,000 are going to really have true peace in this world. And even if that individual reaches the age of 100, he's already basically gone from this world. That's part one. What's part one? He said, let's just look at it from the human perspective. Why would Hashem put us in a situation where the goal, if this is the goal, no, this is the whole thing, this is the whole enchilada, as they say, that he puts in a situation of difficulties and troubles and unfortunately suffering and sometimes pain and illness. Is that really what Hashem is all about? But he goes further, because that's the physical part. Now he goes from a spiritual perspective, which I think is a wonderful, he needs my haskama, a wonderful perspective. So let's assume for a moment that the purpose of the creating of man was for this world. There would have been no need for Hashem to have given to each individual a neshama, a soul, which is so exalted, so grand, that the neshama is even greater than malachim. The neshama gets absolutely no benefit or pleasure in this world. None. Nothing. What benefit does the neshama get? What's the pleasure of the neshama? We'll see. Some of it you should know. We might think of it readily. Shabbat. Okay. We get the neshama yitera, or neshama yiseir, as they say, Laz, right? But matter of fact,
Mitzvot in
neshama
general.
doesn't say
Mitzvot in general. Doing mitzvot.
mitzvot. There's a
Right.
benefit to the neshama. We're going to see it's a two-way street. That the neshama is there to help us do mitzvot, and then we're going to see in a moment that that's where the benefit comes. Very good. So the neshama, which is so exalted, Hashem could have done anything, right? He could have made it that what our food was the same exact thing every day, or it's a pill. We didn't have to have all these millions of different possibilities of food. Hashem could have done anything, and therefore he could have created human beings without a neshama. Neshama doesn't want to be here. Neshama, in a sense, almost fights kiviyachol with God. I don't want to go down to that world. For what? Let me finish this paragraph. V'zu l'shonam. This is what it says in Kohelet, in the Midrash of Kohelet. V'gam hanefesh lo timale. Nor does the neshama become satisfied at all. What does that mean? Mashal mahadavar. The mahadavar dameh. The ironi shenasa bat melech. You have somebody, like a person, a city dweller, who marries the daughter of the king. Im yavila kol masha ba'olam. If he were to bring her everything in the world, einam chashuvim la klum. It wouldn't be worth valuable to her at all. Shehi bat melech, because she's the daughter of the king. Kacha nefesh, so to the soul. Ilu heveta la kol ma'adanei olam. You bring the neshama all the pleasures of the world. You go to the spa and you spend a weekend sitting in the sun by the water and listening to beautiful music and eating phenomenally great food. Enaklum la. It's meaningless to the neshama. Lama, why? Shehi minha elyonim. The neshama comes from the higher level, meaning from Hashem, which we refer to as a chelek elokam ma'al, which literally means a piece of Hashem from on high, which is its own discussion for another date. Against your will you are born. No one ever asked you, did you want to be born? You're fashioned, you're formed against your will, and you're born against your will. Neshama doesn't like this world at all. It's despised by this world. Let's put it into normal terms for a moment, not something that is abstract. You are about to go to a wedding. You've taken a shower, you've put on your fanciest dress or fanciest suit because you are in the United States. Or you put on your best jeans and nice whitest t-shirt here. And you're getting ready to go to the wedding. And you get in the car, and unfortunately you get partway there and your car breaks down. And you get out of the car and it just rained and you step into this puddle of mud. Then you have to do something to tire, your hands are filthy. Now, you're gross, right? Your clothes are all dirty, but you still got to go to the wedding. By the way, this did happen to me one time. I was on the way to a wedding. I was actually in a tux. Yeah. And I ran out of gas. Only twice in my life, ran out of gasoline. And I had to walk to a gas station. My hands were filthy and all. Like, I wasn't in Mesillat Yesharim, thank God. But I had to walk and get the gas can, and the guy looks at me like, what are you doing coming into a gas station in a tuxedo? And I filled up the car and I went, but I felt really gross the whole time. Like, you get into a certain mode. Again, forget the neshama for a second. You yourself, your physical being, you get dressed up, you look good. You don't want to fall into a pile of mud. You don't want to trip in the mud. You don't want to get all dirty because you're clean. So if the clothing could speak, it would tell you, don't get me all dirty. Now, what if you said to the clothing, we're going to have good food tonight. Don't worry about it. No, the clothing couldn't care less about the good food. It doesn't benefit from your eating. You could eat all day and night. It's not going to help the clothes. So the same idea is that when it comes to the neshama is holy. The neshama is spiritual. The neshama is a higher level than malachim, than angels. And yet it comes into this world. Hashem put it in this world. So Ramchal is telling us, how can you believe, how could you think for a moment that this is the goal for creation, when Hashem also takes the time, so to speak, to put the neshama that doesn't even want to be here and is disgusted by this world and sends it down? Why? Hashem is a loving God. Why would Hashem want to do that even to the neshamot? Ve'al kain, therefore, skipped. Im kain, ודאי לא היה בורא יתברך בריאה לתכלית שהוא נגד חוקה ונמאס ממנה. Therefore, God would not create something with a goal of being against the nature of the item that he created it for. What does that mean? If he puts the neshama in this world and that's the whole goal, why would Hashem create such a high level item of spirituality, bring it to this world just to have it be disgusted by this world, not benefit from the world, and poof, that's it. It's all done. But rather, the creation of man is for his existence or his situation in the next world. Therefore, the neshama was given to the person, because through the neshama we serve Hashem. And through it, the neshama, we can receive the ultimate reward in its proper time and place. It says now, not only is the neshama not disgusted by the world, it loves this world. What does that mean? If I have do you know what a Mont Blanc pen is?
Yeah.
Okay. Assume I have that in my right hand. I only write with my right hand, so let's try that differently. Assume I'm ambidextrous for this example. I have a Mont Blanc pen in my right hand, and I have a little Bic. As some of you anyone here from England? Yes. Oh, Brits today? Yeah, they're Biro because the name of the product is the brand. Okay, I have a big pen in my other hand. A little click on, or the cap comes off. You just okay. Which one? And they both have the same ink, the same color, both black pens. Which one would you rather write with? The Mont Blanc. Okay, depending what you're doing. Especially if you're going to write a letter to somebody on fancy linen stationery. There's something to it. We all, whether we realize it or not, we have different standards depending on what we're doing, to whom we're saying or doing something with. The neshama is a standard. The neshama is, I'm here to serve only 100% Hashem. I'm here to be there for Hashem, to serve Hashem. So when it comes down to this world and sees all the stuff that's here, all the gashmiut, and sees all the food and the trees, and it doesn't mean anything to the neshama. Nothing. Oh, you want to use me to serve Hashem? You want to use me to be able to help you do the avodat Hashem, which is what you're here for? Oh, shkoyach, let's go. Let's get this party started. That's the perspective of the neshama. I mean, he didn't say let's get this party started, the Ramchal, but that's what he meant, I'm sure. He just didn't want to say it. And therefore, in a sense, what you're doing is you're not only doing the mitzvot and using the neshama for this purpose of serving Hashem, but you're also enhancing the neshama's presence in this world. You're taking a situation that is difficult for the neshama, which it is, it doesn't want to be here, and you're changing that position of the neshama in this world. And therefore, the neshama will love this world if you use the neshama the right way. Vehine. Now that we've known this, put this down. Navin miyad chomer hamitzvot asher aleinu, vikar ha'avoda asher biyadenu. Once we know this background, we can understand the importance of every mitzvah, the value of the service of Hashem that we do with this mitzvah. Why is he giving this entire background? He gave us an introduction to the book. He already told us why he's writing. What's this chapter about? He's making a case. He says, why am I going to give you, was it like 18? I don't remember how many chapters. How many chapters are we talking? 24 chapters, 26 chapters. What are these 26 chapters about? If our purpose here is not this world, but it's to be in the next world, and we have this neshama, and we're supposed to use the mitzvot to do it, well, how are we supposed to use those mitzvot? That's what the majority of the book is about. But why is that so important? That's what he's trying to tell us. That we are given this magnificent gift of life, this magnificent gift of the neshama, and therefore we need to know how to use it to both bring nachat ruach to Hashem, to bring nachat ruach to the neshama, and ultimately for our own benefit. Why the mitzvot so important? Because it is through the means of use of these mitzvot that we arrive at this true goal. Because without them we cannot achieve and won't achieve anything. Again, let's go back to the gasoline. I may want very much to go to Eilat, although not today. I may want to very much go to Eilat. No matter how much I want to go, unless I get on a bus or I put gasoline in a car and drive, I'm not going to get. I can wish with all my heart. I have the greatest of intentions. I really love Eilat. I want to be in Eilat. I'm going to be there. That's my goal. But if I don't do something about it with the means at my disposal, or worse, I don't have the means at my disposal, then I'm not going to get to my goal. That's the purpose of the mitzvot. The mitzvot are that which help us get closer to Hashem. that enhance our relationship with Hashem and each other. And in addition to that, achieve the long-term goal. V'ulam, yadua kena tachlit magiel mikoach kibutz kol emtzaim asher nimtzu v'asher shimshu lahagio. You can't do what you need to do unless you consolidate all your forces. It's a general explanation, translation. It's not exactly word for word. If I want to build a home, let's assume I'm a builder. I want to build a home. So that I know once I have the architectural drawings, that I have to get all the product, I have to get all the subcontractors, get everyone together. Assume now I'm going to be my own general contractor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the tashtit, the infrastructure put in for the foundation and things like that, and then make sure the electrical wires are run and the plumbing is run and everything else, and when the windows are going to be put in when they're supposed to be put in. So I'm the general contractor looking over all these subcontractors. But what if I don't have a general contractor? I only have subs. I don't have subcontractors. And they all show up at the job site. And the guy who's the roofer is already starting to put his shingles, but there's no house yet, right? Or the plumber is trying to run conduit or ductwork or something else, but there's no walls within which to put it. It's all mishmash. So it has to be a set. You have all these tools available to you. Each of us is a tool to be help another person with questions, svarim, learning, mitzvot, davening. Everything is another tool. But if we just look at them as individual items and just standalones, and we don't realize we have an entire package of tools at our disposal, and we start to use them together, we're going to also not do the proper approach. This is the issue I said last week with the rubber band. The more force you put in, the more effort you put in, the more that will be borne out from that effort. If I go to shul and I put on my tefillin and I daven, and the next day I go to shul and I put on my tefillin and I daven, those two experiences can be radically different from Sunday to Monday. Radically different. What's my intention? Do I want to connect to Hashem? Why am I putting it? I'm putting on. I'm even thinking about the fact that I put on tefillin, whatever it might be, that the more I put in, the more we put into something, the more it's going to come out. Same thing is true in education. Same thing is true in love and relationships. Same thing is true in almost everything in life, that the more you put in, the more it's going to be as a result. Any small deviation from these means, i.e. the mitzvot, that at the end of the day, after 120 years, that little difference of what was supposed to be done and was actually done will be very obvious. This is clear. In the United States, in St. Louis, I imagine some of you have seen it or been there, is the arch, right? The arch, they call the gateway to the Midwest. My dad, Elder Shalom, is from St. Louis, so we had the opportunity to be in St. Louis many times. And I went up in the arch, which is for a person who's terrified of heights, was so much fun. It's a lot of fun. What's it? That's right. I like staying on the ground. I hate ladders. I will go up about 3 steps on a ladder, and that's my limit. Anyways, there's certain things I learned about the arch when I was there, is how they built it. No different than how Romans built arches and ancient Greeks built arches, which is one of the most solid type of building construction you can have because of the way the pressure of those of you who are tour guides have been with tours and all you always hear about the keystone, what's its purpose, fine. They said that the arch, I believe, is 600 in feet, 638 feet, I think, from the bottom to the top in the center. But how did they build it? They started on the right side and this is my left hand. They started on the right side, and the left side, the same structure, and they say, okay, it looks pretty good. They built, obviously, according to spec, and they meet in the center at the very top. They said that if they were off in their calculations by a 1/16 of an inch at the bottom, by the time it came to the top, they would have been apart by feet, not inches, by literal feet, because of the exponential effect that mistake would have made. When we do something, we're supposed to do it, obviously, to the best of our capabilities that we can. the little deviations, we know that if we do tremendous deviation, we just don't do the mitzvah, it has an effect. If we do the mitzvah pretty good, it has some effect. But if we also do it with no intention, we do it wrong, we do whatever it might be, there's long-term ramifications. Obviously, they're fixable. Unlike the arch, I guess you could take it apart and start over, but there are ways to fix this. What's it called? It's a one-word answer. Say again. Tshuva. Tikkun, correct? Tshuva. Bezrat Hashem on Shabbat Tshuva, I hope the talk this year is about past, present, and future regarding tshuva, what it does, how it affects. There are only two things in Judaism that I'm aware of that actually affect the past. One is tshuva. Tshuva is the power to wipe out the sin, not the action. As if I punch someone in the face, it doesn't say, oh, I didn't punch him in the face. It doesn't work that way. But it erases the essence of the avera, the chet. The other is what? Anyone want to take a guess? Or, no, it doesn't change the past. What changes the past? No, in terms of it's if it didn't happen. That I would say this part and parcel of tshuva maybe. I don't know if that changes the past necessarily. I want to say it's if it didn't happen. Hatarat nedarim. If I make a neder, make an oath, a vow to do something, and I regret it, and I say hatarat nedarim, it's not that I'm absolved and I don't have to do it. It's as if I didn't make the neder. Change the past. By the way, we have an additional way of looking at this in the Torah, at least two places. I'm sure it's plenty, but two that I know of offhand. How the future affects the past, not changes it, but affects it. It's like how does that happen? So we know that when Avraham Avinu is trying to save his nephew, he's chasing this little war that was going on there. It says Vayadof ad Dan. He chased the bad guys up to the area of Dan. Rashi says there that when he got to Dan, what happened all of a sudden? Why just stop? He said he saw Beruach HaKodesh that eventually a descendant of his, Yeravam ben Nevat, was going to establish a golden calf up in Avodah Zarah, of idolatry, in Dan. Tashash Kocho, he got weak and he had to stop. Well, that means something that happened in the future, didn't happen, wasn't going to happen for a long, long time, affected him today. We also know that Moshe Rabbeinu, in beginning Parshat Shemot, he's about to kill someone. He says, Vayifen kol vacho vayar ki ein ish. He looked each way, he saw there was no one there, and he kills a guy. Rashi said, what does it mean, vayar ki ein ish? He said, he saw Beruach HaKodesh that no good person was going to come out of this individual he's about to kill, which means that if he saw Beruach HaKodesh that there was going to be someone good, he wouldn't have killed him. So future events can affect the past, but only in Torah. Why? Because Torah is Hashem. It's the word of Hashem, it's the ratzon of Hashem. And therefore, just like Hashem is not bound by time, so too the Torah is not bound by time. So it's future events. Well, we know people did this, and Yeravam ben Nevat chose to make the egel. So that's not for today. So every little thing that we might do has long-term effects. Okay. And now, from now, ודאי הוא שהדקדוק שידוקדק על עניין המצוות העבודה, מוכרח שיהיה בתכלית הדקדוק, כאשר ידקדקו שוקלי הזהב והפנינים, let me read the whole sentence, לרוב יוקרם, כי תולדתם נולדת בשלמות האמיתי, והיקר הנצחי שאין יקר למעלה ממנו. He says like this, now you understand, if you understand the mitzvot, they're so important, you need to be so careful with each mitzvah, up to the point as if you were like selling gold, pearls, I'll add diamonds. Imagine you go to buy a diamond and pick up the diamond and you go, I guess it's about 3/4 of a carat. Here, really? I don't think so. It's 0.76019 carats, and that's what you're going to be paying for. Or you're going to get a block of silver, a brick of gold. I'll buy it. I don't have an extra one. I'll be happy to take. If you have an extra one lying around, you don't just say, well, you're very, very careful on the weights and the measures when it comes to everything, but especially, notice if you have a kilo of peaches, so if it's a kilo minus a drop, it's a problem as far as halacha and as far as law, as far as the scale, but put that aside for a moment, it's not going to make the major difference in life. But if you're off a little bit when it comes to gold and silver and diamond, and other precious stones and precious metals, it's going to make a huge difference. He said, if we look for these things with the same exactitude that we would with something physical, then we're going to benefit from it. And he takes us now back to the beginning of the book, where he says that we have to seek out these things like hidden treasures. It's the same idea. He puts all this into the physical world so that we can connect and understand what we're supposed to do. Ninsenu lemeidim. Turns out we learn from this. Ki ikar metziut ha'adam ba'olam hazeh hu rak lekayem mitzvot, la'avod ve'la'amod b'nisayon. Our main purpose in this world is to do the mitzvot, to serve God, and to withstand any nisyonot we may encounter, any tests, trials, and tribulations. V'hana'ot ha'olam ein ra'ui shiyu lo ela le'ezer u'lesiwa bilvad. He does not say this world, Gashmias, is bad. The physical world is a terrible thing. Sit on a mountaintop, contemplate God, and think about Tehillim all day and night. That's not, he said that in the beginning also. He's saying that the purpose of Hana'ar, or pleasures in this world, or benefits, should be there to help you, that should give you peace of mind, in order to free you to serve God and to do that which is required of you. Someone might say, I know a number of you do, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to work out, I'm going to swim, I'm going to lift weights, whatever it might be in the gym. If your goal is only to stay in shape, that's nice, it's good, but it's not really the right goal. The right goal is health. You want to stay healthy. That also is not just the right goal. That's almost right. The right goal is you want to stay healthy, to be able to live properly, be able to do mitzvot and serve Hashem, because that's the ultimate goal. Again, it's like filling up on gasoline. It's a good thing, because otherwise you can't go anywhere, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is doing mitzvot. So if a person is healthy and they're able to serve Hashem, that's good. God forbid a person is sick and they can't, that's not good. So yes, he's telling us the hana'ot, the benefits, the pleasures in this world. For some it might be swimming, for some it's music, whatever it might be, use them. But use them with that intention. Recreation is the made up of two parts of words. It's recreate. You're recreating yourself when you do, whether it's reading a book, whatever it might be. They're there to put you in a different state of mind, physically, mentally, in order to help you serve Hashem. This is a very simple thing everyone could probably do. That everything you do, you have in mind, you're doing it for God. I'm sure that's easy. No problem. And you shouldn't have any other goal in mind when you do any act, whether it's katon or gadol. But to get closer to God, to break down any walls between you and God. Those kinds of things that build walls between us and God are usually physical things, both in literal and figurative ways. Anything you might think that will bring you closer to God, chase after it, grab hold of it, don't let it go. Anything you think may prevent you from serving Hashem, you should run away from it like running away from fire. Since the purpose of coming into this world is serving Hashem, coming closer to Hashem, now he's laying the foundation for the book. This one sentence. He says, your purpose, your goal should be to do anything you can to bring you closer to Hashem and stay away from anything that will take you away from that. Now that we know this general basic background now, that we know why we're here, we know the purpose of mitzvot, we know what we're supposed to do with these mitzvot, we have to start getting into the details. From the A to Z, or Z. He said, I already told you in the beginning the list of things we're going to talk about. And he lists them. I'm not going to read the whole list, the hirut, zrizut, etc. He says, final sentence, he starts off, it's even though he calls it it's parak aleph, it's in part 2 of an introduction, actually. He told us in the introduction why he wrote the book, why people think it's kind of a waste of their time to learn this kind of stuff and why it's not a waste of time. The purpose of mitzvot, and now that we understand the purpose of mitzvot, he will start finally, in quotes, start into getting to details. What is it we're supposed to do vis-a-vis mitzvot and service of Hashem? Bezrat Hashem will continue them with Perek Bet next week. Have a great day.